Hi, I'm Dom, the BCBA mom, and welcome back to my channel. So I am getting ready to conduct an RBT competency assessment, and I decided, why don't I make a video about what do you need to become an RBT? But before we get started, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, comment down below, hit that notification bell, and like this video if you get anything from the content. All right, let's get right into it. This is what you need to become an RBT. Now, an RBT stands for a Registered Behavior Technician, okay? So you may hear it being called different things: a line therapist, a behavior technician, a behavior therapist, but a registered behavior technician is the only term that is recognized by the board, the BACB, along with the BCBA and the BCBAD. So an RBT, a BCBA, and a BCBAD are the only letters or the only credentials that are recognized by the board. A registered behavior technician, an RBT, is a paraprofessional certified in behavior analysis. RBTs assist in delivering behavior analytic services and practice under the direct and close supervision of an RBT supervisor and/or RBT requirement coordinator, who is responsible for all of the RBT's performance. And that's coming straight from the RBT handbook. A typical day when I was a therapist looked like me coming to the house very early, working with kids who were not yet in school. So typically my kids were about 4 or 5. I would come to the house and then we would have a list of programs that we would have to run for 3 hours. And then we may take a break. The kiddo would have lunch, maybe take a nap. I'll go and have lunch, and then I'll come back and I'll do another 3-hour session. Typically when you're an RBT, you have long sessions, okay? It's not like your typical therapy session where you see a client for 1 hour, 1 day a week. A lot of these kiddos are getting 40 hours a week, 30 hours a week of ABA therapy, and it is the responsibility of the RBT to carry out those hours. As the BCBA, we only supervise the RBT or we conduct parent training, but most of the time it will be between the RBT and the child. This is what you need in order to become an RBT. So you just need a brief understanding of the RBT role. Your job is to carry out the programs that are written by the BCBA. So if the BCBA says we need to work on speech by doing this, this, and this, then that's what you're gonna do. So the BCBA kind of gives you instructions or a lesson plan on what you should do for the week, for the day, for the month. But those goals should be changing pretty regularly. You should have some hands-on training on what that looks like. It's okay to read a piece of paper and try to replicate what it is that you're reading, but it's even more salient when you see it actually being done. So it's ideal to be trained by the previous therapist before you take on that caseload, or to be trained by the BCBA before you start working with that kiddo. You want to see them interact with that kiddo first before you start to do it. So in order to be an RBT, you just have to be at least 18 years old, and you have to have either a high school diploma or, I believe, a GED. You don't have to have any college experience because all of your training and experience will be hands-on. Next, you have to take a 40-hour RBT training requirement. So that's 40 hours of you taking usually it's a virtual class. I will include a list of 40-hour trainings that either I would recommend or that are free or that I've seen in the past or that I've taken personally long time ago, long time ago, but I will provide you with that list. That is important. That is essential. That is an essential piece to becoming an RBT. You have to take the 40-hour training. So the 40-hour training is equivalent to you taking a super fast crash course in ABA. Okay, imagine the master level BCBA program is condensed into 40 hours. That's what you're taking. So although it's only 40 hours, the work is not easy, okay? Imagine you are learning a whole new language, new terms, new concepts, new ways of approaching behavior that you're not used to. So you have to subscribe to it, you have to understand it, and you have to apply it. So not only do I recommend taking the 40-hour training class, but I also recommend maybe grabbing a couple other aspiring RBTs or current RBTs and just doing like a study group, because to understand it is one thing, to be able to like list the terms, definition, that's one thing, but can you apply it? That is the real question. And you're gonna wanna have practice applying some of these practical ABA techniques. One tip that I have for choosing a quality 40-hour training is, this is an old saying, tried and true, you get what you pay for. So if you are participating, if you are doing a free RBT 40-hour training, you're gonna feel like you're doing a free training. The only relief you're gonna get from that is the fact that you're not paying for it. That doesn't mean it's gonna be easier. That doesn't mean it's gonna make you more competent in the information. It just means that you get the information for free. In my opinion, if you pay a little more for the 40-hour training, or you use a site that gives you some downloadable resources, if you use a site that's very interactive and very engaging, or if you do an in-person training, I think you'll get a little bit more out of that than your typical free RBT training. Not saying one is right and one is wrong. I don't know your budget, I don't know your pockets, but that's just a tip that I have on when it comes to finding a really good quality RBT training. Next, you have to be able to pass a criminal background check. You have to complete the 40-hour requirement training, and you have to successfully complete the RBT competency assessment. And that qualifies you to sit for the exam. Once you have met all of the requirements, then you have to apply to become an RBT. This is how you do that. So you create a BACB account. This is actually the fun part, because like now you're in the system and everybody knows that you are a behavior analyst. So you want to create an account, enter your full name, an email address that you will always have, nothing that's going to change, because this is how they're going to notify you for different things that may be coming up when your RBT is about to expire. So you always want to be able to access this email address that you give them. You want to set up your profile. This is your account and this is your certification. No one else should manage it but you. So you've logged onto your account. Now you complete the application to become an RBT. That means you have to upload all of your required documentation, including your certification that you've taken the 40-hour training, your completed initial RBT competency exam signed by a BCBA, and a copy of your transcripts or diploma. If you are approved, then you will receive an email prompting you to schedule your RBT certification exam. If you are not approved, you will receive an email providing feedback on what you should do in order to get your application looking right. Next, you actually schedule the exam. This is a test that you take through a testing center. It's actually the exact same testing center that we use as BCBAs to take our exam. So you in here now, you all in the family. There's not a certain time of the year you have to take this exam. You can take it any time of the year, and actually you receive your results immediately. The application fee is $95, $50 goes, $50 is for the application, and $45 is for the testing center. So I'm sure you're wondering, how should you prepare for this exam? Well, right here in the handbook, it shows you what they're going to test you on. There are going to be 12 questions about measurement, 6 questions about assessments, 24 questions about skill acquisitions, 12 questions about behavior reduction, 10 questions about documentation and reporting, and 11 questions about professional conduct and scope of practice, for a total of 75 questions. The handbook even gives you sample questions like, for example, an RBT has been assigned to work with the new child. At the start of the first home session, the child hides behind the mother and will not approach the RBT. Which is the best option for the RBT given this situation? Now, the answer to this is engage in activities that were identified as preferred by the child. Another example question is, over the course of a day, an RBT notices that a student is requesting more bathroom breaks than usual. His BCBA tells him to collect data on requests that day. Which type of data collection makes the most sense? So when you think of those two questions, one is a question about ABA terms. The other one is a question about ABA application. How do you approach a kiddo versus how do you track their behavior? So it's important to know the terminology, but it's also important to know how to apply these skills, because that's what they're going to test you on. Okay, so I want to give you a disclaimer. I was never actually a registered behavioral technician. Dun, dun, dun. I know. Back in the day, when I first got introduced to this field, I was working with adults, and adults do not have registered behavior technicians. When I started working with kids, I did the 40-hour training and I was trained, but I never went to actually go to the testing center to become a registered behavior technician because I knew I wanted to be a BCBA. I already had a master's and I was already on track to becoming a BCBA, so I just didn't stop to take the test at the RBT level. However, my experience was the same. A typical day in the life of an RBT is playing, lots of fun, lots of behaviors, okay? You guys are on the front line. So you are the ones to get to see all the smiling faces and the smiles and the laughter, but you are also the ones who may get the aggression behavior and the elopement behavior, and who may see a lot of that self-injurious behavior because you are with the client most of the time. My advice is, if you're an RBT, it's time to tap into your inner child or what you wanted for your inner child. So for my clients, I used to sing with them, the adults and the kids. I would create playlists on my phones of their favorite songs. They wanted to jump on the trampoline, we were jumping on the trampoline. We would go in and learn how to ride bikes and do walks in the community and do cooking. Another important tip about once you become an RBT, you really need to get in the habit of collecting data. So I can make a whole nother video on how to collect data, the importance of collecting data, and how that works seamlessly into all the other pieces of behavior analysis. All right, future RBTs, now you are armed with all of the knowledge that you need to kickstart your career as a registered behavior technician. If I missed anything, please do not hesitate to comment below, ask me any questions, and let me know what else you want to learn about becoming an RBT or a registered behavior technician. All right, once again, my name is Dom, the BCBA mom, and thank you so much for joining me.